Have you ever been captivated, or perhaps unnerved, by the depths of another's gaze? That unsettling feeling, the instinctive whisper that something isn't quite right, is a primal warning system we often try to ignore. We are, by nature, social creatures driven to connect, to empathize, to believe in the inherent goodness of humanity. This inherent trust, while beautiful, can be a vulnerability. Wisdom, cultivated through experience and observation, demands a certain vigilance, a careful assessment of character, because not all souls navigate the world with the same moral compass. Some choose the shadowed path of deceit, manipulation, and even cruelty. These individuals, if left unchecked, can introduce chaos, pain, and profound disruption into our lives. The ancient Stoics, masters of inner strength and resilience, understood this fundamental truth. They didn't advocate for a life of suspicion or paranoia, but rather a life lived with awareness and reasoned judgment. While we cannot control the actions or intentions of others, a core Stoic principle, we can control our response to them. We can cultivate discernment, recognizing the subtle signs of malice and protecting ourselves from its insidious influence. Seneca, the renowned Stoic philosopher, cautioned us to be wary of those who mask their toxic intentions with honeyed words, those who carry poison beneath their words. Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher-emperor, further advised us to expect treachery, to acknowledge its existence as a reality of the human condition, but crucially, not to be shaken by it, not to allow it to corrode our inner peace or diminish our commitment to virtue. Malice, the intent to cause harm, rarely announces itself with fanfare. It doesn't wear a sign or declare its intentions. Instead, it often hides behind a carefully constructed facade of charm, false concern, or even the deceptive comfort of familiarity. Perhaps you've encountered someone who consistently drains your energy, leaving you feeling emotionally depleted after even brief interactions. Or perhaps you've known someone who subtly twists your words, misrepresenting your intentions and creating conflict where none existed before. Maybe you've witnessed someone who seems to derive pleasure from seeing you struggle, a subtle flicker of satisfaction in their eyes when you face adversity. Sometimes, these individuals are easily identifiable outsiders, strangers whose motives are inherently suspect. But far more often, and far more disturbingly, they are embedded within our own lives, a colleague, a friend, or even, tragically, a member of our own family, our own inner circle. This proximity makes the recognition of their true nature all the more challenging and the potential for harm all the more profound. Therefore, it becomes absolutely crucial to develop the ability to recognize the subtle, and not so subtle, signs that indicate you are dealing with a person whose influence is ultimately destructive, someone whose presence disrupts your inner peace and whose actions demand a response rooted in clarity, strength, and unwavering self-respect. This isn't about fostering fear or cultivating hatred, it's about cultivating wisdom, self-preservation, and the unwavering commitment to protect your own well-being and the well-being of those you cherish. It's about understanding the darker aspects of human nature so that you can navigate the world with greater awareness and resilience. Let's delve into 8 unmistakable signs, subtle indicators, and blatant displays of character that reveal the presence of a potentially toxic or even malevolent individual. Understanding these signs is not merely an academic exercise, it's a practical tool for safeguarding your emotional, mental, and even physical health, and for preventing unnecessary suffering in your life. Grasping these concepts will equip you to make informed decisions about who you allow into your inner circle and how you interact with those whose intentions may be less than honorable. Pleasure in others' pain, the shadow of Schadenfreude. There is something inherently disturbing, a profound moral deficit, in a person who derives genuine joy from the suffering of others. This isn't simply a lack of empathy or a moment of insensitive behavior, it's a fundamental corruption of the human spirit. The Stoics, in their pursuit of virtue, identified wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance as the foundational pillars of a well-lived life. A person who finds pleasure in the pain of others embodies the antithesis of these virtues. They lack the capacity for genuine compassion, and their hearts harbor a cruel, often deeply hidden, darkness. If you observe someone who consistently smirks at another's misfortune, who laughs at someone's struggles, particularly when those struggles are significant, or who subtly delights in the failures of others, you are likely dealing with a profoundly flawed character. This behavior transcends mere insensitivity, it reveals a person who actively thrives on destruction, whether it's emotional, social, or even professional. Consider, for instance, a workplace scenario. Imagine a colleague who witnesses you struggling under an overwhelming workload, visibly stressed and on the verge of burnout. Instead of offering assistance, or even a word of encouragement, they watch with a subtle, almost imperceptible, smirk of satisfaction. They might even subtly sabotage your efforts, knowing that your failure will somehow benefit them, either directly or indirectly. Or picture a so-called friend, to whom you confide a deeply personal struggle, a vulnerability you expose with the expectation of support and understanding. Instead of offering empathy, they turn your problems into a source of amusement, using your pain as fodder for jokes and gossip within your social circle. Such individuals are not merely passive witnesses to suffering, they actively enjoy it, often even orchestrating it for their own twisted sense of pleasure and gratification. They find a perverse sense of validation in the misfortunes of others, as if someone else's failure somehow elevates their own perceived status or worth. Seneca, with his characteristic insight, warned us to be exceedingly wary of those who laugh at wounds they do not feel. This is a powerful image, capturing the profound disconnect between the cruel individual and the suffering of their target. Such people are not simply indifferent to pain, they actively encourage it, seeking to amplify the suffering of others for their own amusement or advantage. They might stir up conflicts, spreading rumors and whispering lies to ignite discord and create chaos, not out of any genuine necessity or desire for justice, but simply because it feeds something dark and malevolent within their own psyche. They might act innocent, even feigning concern, but their consistent pattern of behavior reveals their true nature. They manipulate situations, whisper lies, and watch with detached amusement as those around them crumble, all while maintaining a facade of uninvolvement. They are the puppeteers of misery, pulling the strings from the shadows and reveling in the resulting chaos. The wise, those who strive for virtue and inner peace, understand the importance of protecting themselves from such toxicity. Marcus Aurelius, in his Meditations, reminds us that the soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts. This is a profound statement, highlighting the powerful influence that our environment and our associations have on our own mental and emotional state. Surrounding yourself with individuals who derive joy from the suffering of others will slowly, but surely, poison your own mind and spirit, eroding your empathy, your optimism, and your capacity for joy. The solution is not anger, not retaliation, not engaging in their destructive games. The solution is distance. Recognize the signs, acknowledge the toxicity, and guard your inner peace with unwavering determination. Choose wisely whom you allow into your life, prioritizing those who uplift, support, and inspire you, and distancing yourself from those who seek to diminish and destroy. Remember that you have the power to choose your companions and to create a life filled with positivity and compassion. Do not allow the darkness of others to extinguish your own light. The insatiable need for control, a hunger for domination. A truly malevolent person is rarely content with simply living their own life, pursuing their own goals, and finding their own happiness. Instead, they possess an insatiable need to dominate the lives of others, to exert their will and control every aspect of their environment. This need for control is not born from wisdom, responsibility, or a genuine desire to help others. It stems from deep-seated insecurity, a profound lack of self-worth, and a relentless hunger for power. It is a manifestation of their own internal chaos, projected outwards onto the world around them. The Stoics teach us that the only thing we truly own, the only thing that is truly within our power, is our own mind, our own choices, and our own ability to respond to the world with reason and virtue. It is this very autonomy, this freedom of thought and action, that those with a controlling nature seek to strip away from us, imposing their will in ways both subtle and overtly oppressive. Their goal is to undermine our independence, to make us dependent on them for validation, direction, and even basic necessities. This control can manifest in a myriad of disguises, making it difficult to recognize in its early stages. It might appear as the overbearing boss who micromanages every detail of your work, not out of a desire to improve efficiency or quality, but to assert their dominance and remind you of your perceived inferiority. They might constantly second-guess your decisions, criticize your methods, and demand that you adhere to their every whim, stifling your creativity and preventing you from developing your own skills. Or it might present itself as the helpful friend who dictates where you go, who you see, and what you do, never asking for your input, only demanding your compliance. They might constantly arrange your social calendar, monopolize your time, and isolate you from other friends and family members, all under the guise of caring for your well-being. It might even originate from someone much closer, a partner or a parent who insists on knowing your every move, tracking your whereabouts, and demanding constant updates on your activities, not out of genuine love and concern, but out of a deep-seated fear of losing control over you. They might use guilt, manipulation, or even threats to ensure your compliance, making you feel as though you are constantly walking on eggshells, afraid to upset them or challenge their authority. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus, in his discourses, warned that those who crave power over others are often the weakest themselves, lacking the inner strength and self-assurance to control their own lives. A truly strong and virtuous person has no need to dominate those around them. They rule only themselves, mastering their own emotions, desires, and impulses. They are confident in their own abilities and secure in their own worth, and they have no need to diminish others in order to feel superior. But those consumed by the obsession with control will resort to any means necessary to maintain their grip, including manipulation, emotional blackmail, and even outright deceit. They will create elaborate rules disguised as concern, twisting situations to their advantage and subtly eroding your independence until you find yourself living by their will instead of your own. They will make you question your own judgment, doubt your own abilities, and lose sight of your own goals and aspirations. Recognizing this pattern of control is the crucial first step towards reclaiming your freedom and reasserting your autonomy. It requires a deep level of self-awareness, a willingness to confront the uncomfortable truth about the dynamics of the relationship, and the courage to stand up for yourself and set firm boundaries. Marcus Aurelius, in his Meditations, reminds us that the impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. The obstacles that these controlling individuals place before you are not insurmountable walls, they are tests of your strength, opportunities to assert your independence, and stepping stones on the path to greater self-awareness. See these challenges as opportunities to define your boundaries, to voice your needs, and to step away from those who wish to control your life. Choose freedom over submission, wisdom over fear, and never surrender your autonomy to those unworthy of it. Remember that you have the power to choose your own path and to create a life that is aligned with your own values and aspirations. The unsettling feeling, trusting your inner compass. Sometimes, the body knows what the mind has yet to consciously understand. One of the clearest, yet often overlooked, signs that you are in the presence of a harmful or toxic person is an unshakable sense of unease, a persistent feeling that something is off, even if you can't quite articulate why. This isn't mere anxiety or nervousness, it's a deeper, more visceral reaction, a primal warning signal that your subconscious mind is picking up on subtle cues that your conscious mind is missing. The Stoics, while emphasizing the importance of reason above emotion, also recognize the value of intuition, the power of our instincts sharpened by experience to perceive truths that logic has not yet articulated. They understood that our bodies and our subconscious minds are constantly processing information, often at a level that is below our conscious awareness. These subtle cues, these unspoken messages, can provide valuable insights into the character and intentions of those around us. Picture this scenario: you're attending a family gathering, surrounded by laughter, warm conversation, and a general sense of connection and belonging. Yet, there is one particular person whose presence seems to subtly shift the atmosphere. Nothing overtly offensive happens, no harsh words are exchanged, no direct conflicts erupt. However, something feels undeniably off. You might tense up, find yourself avoiding eye contact, shortening conversations, and generally feeling eager to step away from their vicinity. Their energy, whether intentionally or unintentionally, weighs on you, creating a sense of discomfort even in silence. This is not paranoia, it is perception. It's your subconscious mind registering subtle cues, a micro-expression, a tone of voice, a subtle shift in body language, that indicate a mismatch between their outward demeanor and their true intentions. Or consider the experience of interacting with a coworker who, though outwardly polite and professional, leaves you feeling inexplicably exhausted every time they approach you. You can't pinpoint a specific offense, they haven't said anything overtly rude or disrespectful. Yet, your spirit recognizes something that your conscious mind cannot yet name. Perhaps it's the way they speak, a subtle condescension hidden beneath a veneer of politeness. Perhaps it's the way they look at others, a fleeting expression of disdain or contempt that reveals their true feelings. Perhaps it's the subtle way they manipulate situations, creating conflict and division behind the scenes. Whatever the specific trigger, these sensations are not to be ignored. They are valuable data points, providing insights into the true nature of the person you are interacting with. Marcus Aurelius, in his Meditations, wrote, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." This is a powerful reminder of the importance of protecting your mental and emotional environment. If someone's presence consistently leaves your thoughts clouded with anxiety, doubt, or negativity, they are likely a negative force in your life, regardless of their outward demeanor. Evil is not always loud or dramatic. It doesn't always arrive with a thunderous act of betrayal or a clear declaration of malice. Often, it is quiet, insidious, a slow erosion of peace and well-being. It's the subtle digs, the backhanded compliments, the constant negativity, the unspoken disapproval that slowly chips away at your self-confidence and your sense of inner peace. The wise do not dismiss their intuition. They observe, they analyze, and they act accordingly. They pay attention to how people make them feel, trusting that their inner compass will guide them towards safety and well-being. If someone consistently leaves you feeling disturbed, diminished, or emotionally drained, take it as a sign. Protect your energy, set firm boundaries, and prioritize your inner peace above the need to be liked or accepted by someone whose presence is ultimately detrimental to your well-being. Remember that you have the right to choose your companions and to create a life filled with positive energy and supportive relationships. Evading accountability, the art of blame shifting. A person's true character is not revealed in their successes, but in how they respond to their failures. Everyone makes mistakes, it is an inherent part of the human experience. However, what separates the virtuous from the corrupt is the ability to acknowledge one's errors, to take responsibility for one's actions, and to learn from those experiences. Evil individuals, on the other hand, consistently refuse to take responsibility for their actions. When things go wrong, they do not engage in introspection, they do not seek to understand the root causes of their failures, and they certainly do not apologize. Instead, they engage in a complex web of blame shifting, deflection, and manipulation, shifting the burden of responsibility onto others, twisting the narrative to paint themselves as the victim, and avoiding accountability at all costs. They are masters of self-preservation, willing to sacrifice the well-being and reputations of others in order to protect their own fragile egos. Imagine, for example, a coworker who makes a critical mistake on a project, a mistake that jeopardizes the entire team's success. Instead of admitting their fault and taking steps to rectify the situation, they deflect the blame, pointing fingers at you or other members of the team, claiming that you did not provide them with adequate support or that you gave them incorrect information. They might even subtly sabotage your efforts, creating a situation where you are more likely to make a mistake, thus providing them with a convenient scapegoat. The workplace environment becomes tense and poisoned by deception, as everyone tries to avoid becoming the target of their blame-shifting tactics. Or consider a friend who constantly finds themselves in trouble, whether it's financial problems, relationship issues, or legal difficulties. They never attribute their misfortunes to their own poor choices or lack of foresight. Instead, they always blame external forces, claiming that they are victims of circumstance, unlucky, or unfairly targeted. If they are late for an appointment, it's always because of unexpected traffic congestion, never because they failed to plan ahead or allowed themselves enough time to travel. If they fail an exam, it's always because the teacher had a personal vendetta against them or because the test was unfairly difficult, never because they did not study adequately. If their life is in a state of chaos, they steadfastly refuse to acknowledge their own role in creating that chaos, instead portraying themselves as helpless victims of circumstance. These individuals do more than simply avoid blame, they actively seek to make you carry it. They manipulate situations so that, somehow, you find yourself apologizing for their mistakes, feeling guilty for their failures, and taking responsibility for their shortcomings. They create an emotional fog where guilt is misplaced, accountability is non-existent, and you begin to question your own perception of reality. You might find yourself constantly second-guessing your own actions, wondering if you are somehow responsible for their misfortunes, even when logic dictates otherwise. The Stoics taught that self-awareness is the foundation of wisdom, the cornerstone of a virtuous life. As Marcus Aurelius stated, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. Recognizing these patterns of blame shifting and deflection is essential for protecting your own mental and emotional well-being. A person who never takes responsibility for their actions will inevitably drag you into a cycle of guilt, frustration, and manipulation. They will drain your energy, undermine your confidence, and leave you feeling perpetually responsible for their failures. Do not allow their lack of integrity to become your burden. Set firm boundaries, refuse to accept their misplaced blame, and walk away from the relationship if necessary. Your peace of mind, your emotional well-being, and your sense of self-worth are worth protecting. The tangled web of deceit, living a lie. To live with integrity is to value truth, to uphold honesty as a guiding principle in all aspects of life. Truth is the foundation of trust, the bedrock upon which meaningful relationships are built. Without truth, there can be no genuine connection, no real understanding, and no lasting bond. However, evil people do not seek trust. They prioritize control, advantage, and self-preservation above all else. Lying, therefore, is not merely a tool for them, a means to an end, it is a habit, a way of life, a fundamental aspect of their character. They do not simply lie when necessary, when faced with a difficult situation or a potential consequence. They lie compulsively, reflexively, often for no apparent reason other than the sheer thrill of deception. Sometimes they lie for personal gain, to manipulate others into giving them what they want. Other times, they lie simply for amusement, to test their ability to deceive and to revel in the confusion and chaos they create. The Stoics warned against such individuals, recognizing that a person without truth is a person without virtue, a person devoid of moral compass and incapable of genuine empathy. Such individuals are inherently untrustworthy, and any relationship with them is built on a foundation of sand. Imagine, for example, a coworker who constantly exaggerates their achievements, fabricating stories to gain recognition and advancement. Their deception is not always grand or elaborate, it might consist of small distortions, slight manipulations of reality, designed to inflate their ego and impress their superiors. They might claim credit for your ideas, downplay your contributions, or embellish their own accomplishments to make themselves appear more competent and capable than they actually are. Or consider a friend who assures you that they couldn't attend your important event because they were sick, only for you to later discover that they were out enjoying themselves elsewhere, perhaps even with people they knew you disliked. These lies might seem minor or insignificant in isolation, but they reveal a deeper truth about the person's character, that they do not respect you, that they do not value honesty, and that they are willing to deceive you for their own selfish purposes. The real danger, however, lies in the manipulative nature of their deceit. Some people lie not just to cover their mistakes or to avoid consequences, but to actively control those around them, to shape their perceptions of reality, and to manipulate their emotions. A partner who deceives you about their feelings, leading you to believe that they love you when they actually harbor resentment or indifference, is seeking to keep you emotionally bound to them, preventing you from moving on and finding genuine happiness. A colleague who spreads misinformation to create conflicts and watch the chaos unfold is intentionally sowing discord and division for their own amusement or to advance their own agenda. A so-called friend who plants falsehoods in others' minds to turn them against you is engaging in a calculated act of betrayal, seeking to undermine your relationships and isolate you from your support network. These actions are not accidental, they are intentional, carefully designed to shape reality in a way that serves only their own selfish interests. Seneca once said, "Falsehood is so easy, truth so difficult." This highlights the inherent challenge of discerning truth from falsehood, particularly when dealing with a skilled liar. A person who lies repeatedly, even about trivial matters, is revealing a fundamental aspect of their character. Small lies often lead to bigger lies, and over time, they erode the very trust that holds relationships together. When you recognize this pattern in someone, take a step back and ask yourself, can I truly rely on this person? Can I build anything meaningful with someone who does not value the truth? If the answer is no, then you must have the courage to let them go, to sever the ties that bind you to their web of deceit. The wise do not entangle themselves with those who twist reality for their own gain. Guard your mind, guard your trust, and walk away from deceit without hesitation. The absence of remorse, a heart devoid of empathy. A person's true nature is revealed not in their mistakes, but in their response to those mistakes. We all err, it is the inherent nature of being human. We are fallible creatures, prone to making errors in judgment, saying things we regret, and unintentionally causing harm to others. However, what separates the virtuous from the corrupt is the ability to feel remorse, to recognize when we have harmed others, and to genuinely seek to make amends for our actions. This ability to empathize with the pain of others, to feel genuine sorrow for our transgressions, is a fundamental aspect of human decency. An evil person, however, feels no such guilt or regret. They are incapable of genuine empathy, unable to truly understand or care about the suffering they inflict on others. They do not reflect on their actions, they do not apologize for their wrongdoing, and they certainly do not seek to make amends. Instead, they justify their behavior, manipulate the situation to portray themselves as the victim, and deflect any blame or responsibility onto others. Their primary concern is always their own self-preservation, and they are willing to sacrifice the well-being of others in order to protect their own fragile egos. Imagine, for example, a colleague who takes credit for your hard work, presenting your ideas as their own in a meeting with your superiors. When confronted about their actions, they do not apologize or acknowledge their wrongdoing. Instead, they twist the situation, suggesting that you would not have succeeded without their help or that they were merely helping you gain recognition. They might even accuse you of being overly sensitive or insecure, implying that you are making a big deal out of nothing. There is no genuine acknowledgement of wrongdoing, only excuses, rationalizations, and attempts to minimize the harm they have caused. Or picture a friend who regularly makes cruel and cutting remarks, often disguised as humor. When you finally speak up, hoping for understanding and a genuine apology, they laugh, roll their eyes, and dismiss you as being too sensitive or unable to take a joke. They do not seek to understand the impact of their words on you, they simply seek to invalidate your feelings and make you question your own perception of reality. This is more than mere arrogance or insensitivity, it is a profound lack of empathy, a fundamental inability to connect with the pain of others. The Stoics understood that a person who does not feel remorse is dangerous, not just to others, but to themselves. Seneca warned that those who abandon conscience will eventually be consumed by their own corruption, descending into a spiral of destructive behavior with no moral compass to guide them. Yet, in the short term, they often thrive by manipulating those around them, exploiting their empathy and their willingness to forgive. They master the art of flipping the script, turning the tables on their victims and making them feel responsible for the wrongdoings of the perpetrator. When confronted with their harmful behavior, they often become the victim, claiming that they are being unfairly targeted, misunderstood, or even abused. If you express hurt or anger, they accuse you of being dramatic, overreacting, or trying to control them. If you call out their wrongdoing, They act as if you are the one in the wrong, implying that you are being judgmental, unforgiving, or even malicious. The danger in engaging with such people is that, over time, their tactics wear you down, eroding your self-confidence, your sense of self-worth, and your ability to trust your own judgment. You begin to doubt yourself, to hesitate before standing up for your own dignity, and to question your own perception of reality. But Marcus Aurelius reminds us, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. The absence of remorse is a glaring warning sign, a clear signal that someone is not capable of true connection, genuine empathy, or lasting trust. Recognizing this is the crucial first step towards protecting yourself from their manipulative tactics and their destructive influence. Those who do not feel guilt for harming others will continue to do so, knowing that there are no consequences for their actions. Do not allow yourself to be drawn into their web of manipulation. Set clear boundaries, refuse to accept their misplaced blame, and, if necessary, walk away from the relationship entirely. Your peace of mind, your emotional well-being, and your sense of self-worth are worth far more than the illusion of a relationship with someone incapable of genuine remorse. The open display of cruelty, a dark heart revealed. While some forms of evil are subtle, hidden beneath layers of deception and manipulation, others are displayed openly, raw, aggressive, and unashamed. Cruel people do not hide their nature, they revel in it. They take pleasure in causing pain, whether it's physical, emotional, or psychological. They insult, ridicule, and humiliate others without remorse, often going out of their way to inflict maximum damage. They lack empathy, compassion, and any sense of common decency. The Stoics taught that a person who lacks empathy is not only a danger to others but also lost within themselves, consumed by their own destructive nature. They are trapped in a cycle of negativity, unable to find true happiness or fulfillment, and they seek to drag others down with them. Think of a coworker who never misses an opportunity to belittle others in meetings, undermining their ideas, criticizing their performance, and generally making them feel incompetent and insecure. They do not offer constructive feedback or helpful suggestions, they simply seize every opportunity to humiliate, pointing out mistakes with a cruel smirk and reveling in the discomfort of their targets. They might undermine their colleagues to boost their own fragile ego, creating an atmosphere of fear and intimidation in the workplace. Their presence does not inspire excellence, it poisons the environment, creating tension, anxiety, and resentment. Or consider a so-called friend who mocks your insecurities, making light of your vulnerabilities and exploiting your weaknesses for their own amusement. They disguise their cruelty as humor, claiming that they are just joking or that you are too sensitive to take a little ribbing. They take something you once shared in confidence, a deeply personal fear or insecurity, and turn it into a public spectacle, using it as fodder for jokes and gossip within your social circle. When you show discomfort or protest their behavior, they laugh harder, relishing in your pain and discomfort. This is not just insensitivity, it is intentional harm, a deliberate attempt to inflict emotional damage. A cruel person does not accidentally hurt others, they enjoy it. They use words as weapons, tearing down confidence, eroding self-worth, and leaving their victims feeling emotionally battered and bruised. In some cases, their cruelty extends beyond words, manifesting in physical aggression. A partner who constantly insults, threatens, or physically harms you is demonstrating open malice, seeking to dominate you through fear and pain. Their actions reveal a complete disregard for human dignity, a fundamental lack of the virtues that define a just and compassionate person. Seneca warned, "The soul that lacks virtue is like a body without a guiding force. It stumbles blindly into destruction." Those who engage in cruelty have abandoned reason, acting only on base impulses and destructive emotions. They harm because they can, because it gives them power, because it feeds their own emptiness and insecurity. Recognizing cruelty for what it is, an unmistakable sign of a dangerous character, is essential for protecting yourself from harm. No one should tolerate deliberate harm, whether it is verbal, emotional, or physical. You have the right to be treated with respect, dignity, and compassion, and you should never allow anyone to violate that right. Marcus Aurelius reminds us that while we cannot control the actions of others, we can control how we respond to them. The wise do not entertain cruelty, they set firm boundaries, protect their peace, and walk away from those who thrive on suffering. If you find yourself in the presence of cruelty, do not endure it in silence. Distance yourself from the perpetrator, seek support from trusted friends or family members, and remember that no relationship, no job, no situation is worth the destruction of your own well-being. Choose wisdom over fear, and never let the malice of others define your sense of worth. You are worthy of love, respect, and happiness, and you deserve to surround yourself with people who uplift and support you. The warnings of loved ones, heeding external observations. Sometimes, the clearest sign that you are dealing with a dangerous or toxic person does not come from your own perception or experiences, but from the voices of those who care about you most, your friends, your family, and other trusted individuals who have your best interests at heart. These people have stood by you through thick and thin, they have witnessed your struggles and celebrated your successes, and they have no reason to deceive you or to steer you wrong. If the people closest to you are consistently warning you about someone's character, raising concerns about their behavior, or expressing reservations about your relationship with them, it would be unwise to dismiss their concerns out of hand. The Stoics remind us that wisdom is not only in what we see, but also in what we hear from those who observe with a more objective perspective. Our own emotions can often cloud our judgment, blinding us to red flags and warning signs that are readily apparent to others. Those who care about us are often better able to see the truth, as they are not emotionally invested in the relationship and can therefore offer a more impartial assessment. Imagine, for example, that you start dating someone new, and at first, everything seems perfect. They shower you with affection, say all the right things, and make you feel like you finally found the one. However, as time goes on, your closest friends and family members begin to express concern. They might mention that this person has a history of manipulation, that they have seen them mistreat others, or that something about their behavior seems disingenuous or controlling. They might point out inconsistencies in their stories, express concerns about their temper, or notice that they are isolating you from your friends and family. It's tempting to ignore these warnings, to dismiss them as jealousy or overprotectiveness, and to believe that this time it is different. You might tell yourself that your friends and family don't understand this person, that they are simply being judgmental, or that you are finally happy and they are trying to sabotage your happiness. But the truth is, patterns rarely change. The way a person has treated others in the past is often a strong indicator of how they will eventually treat you. If they have a history of dishonesty, manipulation, or abuse, it is highly likely that those traits will surface again in your relationship with them. Or consider a new job where your colleagues quickly warn you about a particular supervisor, telling you how this person regularly takes out their frustrations on subordinates, creates an oppressive and toxic work environment, and never takes responsibility for their own mistakes. At first, this supervisor might seem pleasant to you, even helpful, perhaps because they are trying to make a good first impression or because they are simply better at manipulating certain individuals. But the people who have been there before you, who have witnessed their behavior firsthand, have already seen the reality behind the mask. These are not mere complaints or gossip, they are insights gained from painful experience, warnings based on first-hand observation of a person's true character. Ignoring these warnings could mean walking blindly into unnecessary hardship, subjecting yourself to abuse, and damaging your career. Marcus Aurelius reminds us, if someone can prove me wrong and show me my mistake in any thought or action, I shall gladly change. I seek the truth, which never yet hurt anyone. Similarly, the truth behind a toxic person, no matter how inconvenient or painful it may be, is something we must be willing to face. Your friends and family have nothing to gain by deceiving you, their warnings come from genuine concern for your well-being, not from malice or ulterior motives. If multiple people are raising red flags about the same person, it is not a coincidence, it is a sign to be cautious, to take a step back and re-evaluate the situation with a more objective perspective. It is easy to dismiss concerns when things are going well, when you are feeling happy and in love, or when you are eager to make a good impression at a new job. Perhaps this person is treating you kindly now, making you feel special and valued. But the Stoics warn us not to judge solely by the present moment. We must look at the broader patterns of human behavior, at their past actions, and at the observations of those who know them best. If someone has a history of dishonesty, manipulation, cruelty, or irresponsibility, those traits will inevitably surface again, regardless of how charming or well-intentioned they may seem at first. You must ask yourself, am I seeing this person for who they truly are, or am I seeing only what I want to believe? Am I being blinded by my own emotions, ignoring the warning signs that are clear to others? To be wise is to observe carefully, to listen to those who have your best interests at heart, and to trust their judgment, even when it conflicts with your own desires. If a person's character has raised enough concern that multiple people have spoken up, take a step back and evaluate the situation objectively. Do not wait for harm to come to you before recognizing the signs. As Epictetus said, caution should be exercised in all things, but most of all in our associations. Trust the wisdom of those who care for you, and protect yourself before it is too late. Evil often hides in plain sight, masked by charm, deception, and manipulation. But wisdom, cultivated through awareness, discernment, and the counsel of trusted advisors, gives us the power to see clearly, to recognize the warning signs, and to protect ourselves from harm. By understanding the subtle indicators and blatant displays of character that reveal the presence of a potentially toxic or malevolent individual, we can make informed decisions about who we allow into our lives and how we interact with those whose intentions may be less than honorable. This revised and significantly expanded text provides a much more detailed exploration of the topic, weaving in Stoic philosophy, real-life examples, and psychological insights. The added original content contributes significantly to the fair use balance, ensuring a substantial portion is new and transformative. This would significantly improve the video content for educational and entertainment purposes.